All right, let's get it. Let's get it. NBA Cup time, baby. Quarterfinal action between the Knicks and the Hawks. 4 storylines all over, considering Trae Young coming back to the Garden. Who cares? Who cares? We're excited about the NBA Cup. We're not excited about Trae Young returning back to the Garden. Like, this is 2021. Get a grip, ESPN. It's been 3.5 years. Anyways, I'm Bryce Gelman, talking NBA Cup action quarterfinals. I'm into it. I don't know about you, but I am into it. I like meaningful basketball in December because who could care less about the NBA before at least Christmas Day? And this is coming from a big NBA fan. There is nothing to care about when it comes to the NBA before Christmas Day. You're locked into the NFL. I don't blame you. I'm locked into the NFL, but at the same time, of course, I am a massive basketball fan. Of course, I am a huge Knicks fan. We got meaningful basketball. I need to break out the LJ jersey here. I'm going to be talking Knicks, of course, Knicks-Hawks. Also going to be talking, there we go, that team over there. Max Fried signing. I haven't really made any comments about that. It's some other rumors that we've heard today. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to start with that. Unless people want to talk Knicks straight away, just let me know in the comments. But I want to start with the Yankees because yesterday we learned that the Yankees signed Max Fried to an 8-year, around $210 million deal. And for a lot of people, including myself, I'm not going to say it was an overpay. I'm not going to sit here and say the Yankees overpaid for Max Fried. The Mets just signed Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million deal. The fact that the Yankees just made an 8-year deal with Max Fried, it does not surprise me, does not shock me. At the same time, I'm not losing any sleep over it. The Yankees needed to front load the top of the rotation. They're as deep as hell in that rotation. This was a good signing. This was a good pivot. All right. And now they're rumored to potentially be interested in Cody Bellinger, also in Alex Bregman, who I'm praying, and I don't think that that's going to happen. But more Bellinger, also Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, I think we can all agree on, is the best pivot away from Juan Soto. Only a year right now. He's only a year older. They're 2 years, only a year older right now, but 2 years, whatever. When his contract is going to hit potentially next year, he'll be 28 years old, is what I'm saying. Juan Soto, 26. He will be getting an exorbitant contract as well. So if the Yankees go out and decide to trade for him, they need to guarantee that what happened with them with Juan Soto does not happen again with Kyle Tucker. And as of right now, I don't think they can guarantee that. If you're Kyle Tucker, and you just saw how much money that Juan Soto got in free agency, why the hell would you sign a contract extension with whatever team ends up trading for him? And that's not even a guarantee the Astros decide to trade him. Kyle Tucker is one of the best young talents in all of baseball. People are saying out there, and some are Yankee fans, and I think a little bit biased, but they're saying that he's even better than Juan Soto. I think defensively, you could say that. Offensively, with plate discipline, I don't think anyone compares to Juan Soto. So I'm not going to go as far to say that. If you're talking all around 5-tool player, Kyle Tucker is that. Juan Soto is not. That doesn't make him a better player, more well-rounded. Yes, you could say that. Fine. That is every Yankees fan's wet dream, of course, to go out and get rent-free in my head, to go out and get Kyle Tucker. I have PTSD as a Yankee fan, as someone who hated the trade for Juan Soto when it was made. Of course, as time went on, as we saw him in pinstripes, you kind of got the feeling that this guy was meant to be in pinstripes. And you got that feeling that the Yankees would do whatever it takes to bring him back. But I said it at the time, before we saw him in pinstripes, before we saw him embrace the Yankee way, the Yankee legacy, I said there was no point in making this trade because Steve Cohen is going to come in and offer the most money. So you've got to pray deep down. Juan Soto will love playing in pinstripes, so much so that he takes less money to come back to the Yankees. I never thought that was a possibility. Yes, I was confident the Yankees would bring him back because I thought the offers would be at least somewhat close. And there are still people out there that think that those two offers were close. They were not whatsoever, especially when you take into account the suite that Juan Soto is going to be getting, the 4 premium seats that Juan Soto is going to be getting. There were a lot of accommodations in that contract for Juan Soto that were not in the Yankees deal. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that Juan Soto was making $5+ million extra a year, and that's not even including the $5+ million that he'd get a year if he tried to opt out. It's an $800 million deal. The Yankees were at $760 for 1 year more. It wasn't close. Juan Soto would have had to love playing for the Yankees. Would have had to completely buy in to the Yankee culture in 1 year for him to take that deal. And of course, that didn't come to fruition. I don't think anyone really expected it to. But let's just, dispel the notion that that was a close deal, that the money was close. It was not. It simply was not. Kyle Tucker is a great pivot if you offer him the moon and the stars. If you say, listen, we saw what Juan Soto just got to. We want to sign you to a 12-year deal worth $450 million. I think that's a fair offer. I think people would lose their minds giving a guy who is nowhere near as durable as Juan Soto that type of money. But that's what it's going to take in this day and age. After what Juan Soto just got, the Yankees would find it hard-pressed to trade for Kyle Tucker and then to re-sign Kyle Tucker at the same time. Give me some I'm sorry. I got to keep checking my phone because I've got tweet notifications on for at least 7 journalists, and there's just constantly stuff coming out. My apologies. Back into Yankee stuff. Max Fried, I think, is a great signing. I'm not losing sleep over the 8 years. Would I have preferred a 6-7 year deal? Yeah. For a 30-year-old, of course. Of course I would have. It's just not how things work these days. If you want to get the best players, you have to promise long-term deals. It's that simple. The Yankees are going to be paying Max Fried $12 million the next 2 years. Great, terrific. Or whatever, 12 and 20. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not, the $32 million, $31 million AAV. So listen, the Yankees have more money to play with here. Christian Walker should be in pinstripes. That needs to be a priority for the Yankees. And then a lefty bat. That is the most important thing this offseason to replace what listen, you can't replace the production that Juan Soto gave you, but at least try to fill part of the shoes that Juan Soto left in Yankee Stadium. You're going to have to. Because how long did it take the Yankees to get to where they did, the World Series, and how long was it that they just refused to sign or trade for a big lefty bat? 7 years, guys. 7 years. You could say 6, 7 seasons it took the Yankees to do that. And they finally did. And look where it brought them. And of course, they didn't bring him back. But now the Yankees need to go out, and it cannot just be Cody Bellinger. It needs to be a Kyle Tucker. He needs to be a huge name. Otherwise, they're just not going to be balanced. They're going to be flawed. Organizationally, from top to bottom, they are flawed. You can't have the lineup be flawed, too. Listen, the starting rotation is amazing. Amazing. Luis Gil just won AL Rookie of the Year. You could make the argument that he's the 5th or 6th starter. Trade Luis Gil to the Astros for Kyle Tucker, and then make a promise, whether it be now, whether it be 3 or 4 months down the line, deep within yourself, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to bring him back. Not like the Juan Soto where, okay, we're gonna let Steve Cohen outbid us. They didn't even get a chance to make a return offer. Not that I think that Scott Boras thought the Yankees would ever do it. I don't think they would have either. But the fact that Steve Cohen made the highest offer, that cannot be the case with Kyle Tucker. If you trade for him, you need to make sure that you are the highest. You need to be the highest bidder. Unless Kyle Tucker could not play at Yankee Stadium, which would be a disaster, an unmitigated disaster, because the Yankees would give up a lot to get him, and then he would suck in pinstripes, and then they're like, I don't want to resign him because he sucks. That's worst case scenario. Of course, you knew Juan Soto could play in pinstripes, but yeah, he's in Queens now. All right, enough with the Yankees stuff. More of that as the days go on, as the Yankees continue to stay active in the free agency market and the trade market as well. So, fret not. We've more Yankees talk. Just want to get that out of the way because we have 20 minutes till NBA Cup tip-off, baby. Let's go. And I started off saying this, and if you're just joining now, I'm Bryce Gelman. I talk Knicks, Giants, Yankees, whatever. The idea of like the forced narrative when it comes to Trae Young being the Knicks, like being the Joker to the Hawks Joker to the Knicks the Knicks Joker. Okay, you get what I'm trying to say. Let's dispel the notion that this guy is the Knicks villain. He's not. He's 6-14. in his career against the Knicks. We are glorifying him over one 5-game stretch in the 2021 playoffs. A playoffs, I might add, in which the Hawks made the conference finals. Congratulations. What have they done since then? Nothing. So I just can't stand it. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. The idea that like no one could care less about Trae Young being the Knicks' kryptonite, as CBW says. I don't think he is. He's 6-14 against the Knicks in his career. He loves to talk a big game when it comes to the Knicks and their fans. But what have you done? 6-14. That's your legacy against the Knicks. The Knicks need to win tonight. Of course, for NBA Cup purposes, but they are the much better team than the Hawks. When you look at this Hawks team, 13-12, Trae Young averaging 21-12, by far the most assists in the NBA. He is unbelievable as a playmaker, not so much as a shooter this year. High volume guy. In fact, the whole Hawks team, who is, you got to give them their flowers, one of the best offensive teams in the NBA. They're one of the most high volume teams in the NBA. Shooting percentages are not necessarily there, middle of the pack, but when it comes to three-pointers made, top of the line, because they get a lot of shots. They have quick pace. They've got a very high pace, and also they get off a lot of threes a game. Top 5 team in fast break points a game. Like, this is the Hawks' bread and butter, is getting out of transition, getting easy looks. Do they convert them all the time? No, they do not. Defensively, they average the most threes allowed a game. So the Knicks, as good as they are offensively, should have their way against the Hawks tonight. 100%. Especially with Karl Towns at the 5, the ability for the Knicks to space out the floor. Clint Capella, of course, the paint protector for the Hawks. He's going to have to play out on the perimeter. You cannot leave Karl-Anthony Towns open. He's shooting 45% from three this year. 53% from the field. You can't even give the guy 2 feet of space. He'll hit anything right now. I think that's the Knicks' biggest advantage in this game, is the fact that Clint Capella is not going to be able to play down near the basket like he'd like to. Hawks had won 6 games in a row before losing by 30 to the Nuggets, a team that I think you could say at this point is in complete disarray. This Hawks team is nothing special. I think the line last time I checked is 7.5. Obviously, the Knicks are favored. Home game. Knicks have been historically good at home. Mikal Bridges has completely turned it around. I'm going to read some stats for you from Mikal Bridges here that I got off Twitter. Let me just say this. There's a lot of different stuff in here, but what you guys want to hear is the fact that Bridges is posting the best plus-minus in the NBA in December, by far at plus 109 in 197 minutes. No other play in the league is above plus 77. And I think a lot of that comes from Tom Thibodeau playing Mikal Bridges through big blowouts for the Knicks, but that's just to get his confidence back. That's to get his shooting back. And before the month of December, he was historically bad at shooting threes anywhere else besides the corners, I should say. He's picked that back up. He's shooting 36% in the month of December from places that are on the corner. Mikal Bridges is also leading the league in minutes played. This is your Iron Man. This is a guy you could expect to play in every game. And this is your X factor. You could expect the same from Karl-Anthony Towns. You could expect the same from Jalen Brunson. You could expect the same from OG Anunoby and Josh Hart on a nightly basis. You know you're going to get the same offensive output when it comes to what Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns give you combined. Jalen Brunson could be having a terrible game. Karl-Anthony Towns will pick up the slack, and vice versa. Defensively, you know what OG Anunoby and Josh Hart can do, and have shown you all year long. And offensively, how both of them have contributed to the Knicks. Surprisingly, especially for OG Anunoby, who's become easily a top 40, top 45 player in the NBA. And I think that the Ringer has finally given him his flowers and ranking him above. I just saw this a couple of minutes ago. They ranked OG Anunoby 42nd in the NBA. I think this is the Ringer's list. And Scotty Barnes at 44th. Now, do I think is Scotty Barnes a better player than 44th? Yes. But do I think OG Anunoby is correctly ranked at 42? Yes, of course. That is, and also yes. But this Knicks team against the Hawks, they should have their way offensively. And I said this before. The Hawks are not a good defensive team. They're not a good defensive team at all. I love who they have, though. I love their two young players that really stand out on this team. And Dyson Daniels is one of them. He's averaging 4.1 stocks per game, over 3 steals, and 0.9 blocks. As an undersized two guard, I wouldn't call him undersized because he's got length. But he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. Jalen Brunson, he will have his hands full with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson could have a terrible game tonight. Like, I love Dyson Daniels. And another one of those guys they have who I'm a huge fan of is Jalen Johnson, who's averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. These are all quick guys. Like Jalen Johnson as a stretch 4, I love that. I love Jalen Johnson. They've got some really good young talent. Of course, Zachary Richardson, the number 1 pick in last year's draft, has been really solid. The Hawks, as much as Knicks fans like to hate on them, I'll give them credit. They've turned things around. I don't think they could have ever expected the return in which they got for DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans in Dyson Daniels. And the defensive output that he's given them. It's unbelievable. It really is. They've got some really good young talent. This is a team on the up, 100%. You could say that. And now, listen, with the Trae Young stuff, and if you're just joining now, I'm Bryce Gelman, and I've been talking about this repeatedly, and I think it's been out there a lot by certain Knicks pages, the idea that, the NBA is making this into a bigger deal than it is. I understand there's a lack of beef among big teams in the NBA. There's a lack of competitiveness that you would see in the 90s, and the 80s, and the 70s in the NBA. You don't get that anymore. You saw it the other night with Jaylen Brown and Giannis Antetokounmpo, but other than that, these guys love each other. They dap each other up. They trade jerseys at the end of the game. At least Trae Young has kept this bit going of, hey, Knicks fans, F you. Sorry. But that's how it feels. And when the Hawks get their once-in-a-blue moon win over the Knicks, Trae Young talks all this game. So congratulations to Trae Young for trying and attempting to stay relevant in terms of this beef, this so-called beef between the Knicks and the Hawks. It's just non-existent for me. And I guarantee you a lot of people out there, listen, if you're watching this right now, leave a comment below and let me know how you feel about that. But I think I speak for the majority of Knicks fans here that we couldn't care less what Trae Young does. This isn't 2021. It's just hilarious. Now you'd say well, who else? Who else is the villain for the Knicks? Oh, Tyrese Haliburton. How is he playing this year? All these guys that try to stay relevant by talking the Knicks and their fans. How about you focus on your own games? Trae Young, how about you shoot better from the field? How about you shoot above 46% from the field? That would be cool. Casey says Lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. Yeah. 100%. 100%. That's where we're at right now. And you got ESPN, with all these promotional videos about Trae Young return to the Garden. Who cares? Who cares? Seriously, I could not care less. I couldn't. And you may be saying, well, Bryce, you're talking about it so much. Well, it sounds like you do care. I care about the idea that they're trying to push us to care. That's what I care about. Not the actual beef. If there is one. It's been 4.5 years. 3.5 years. It's been since the 2021 postseason. Since he killed the hopes and dreams of all the Knicks fans out there. Congratulations. You beat a team whose second option was watch Derrick Rose, whose point guard was Elfrid Payton. And props to Elfrid Payton. He came back into the NBA after 2 years out of it with 20 assists, and then he gets released. And it's tough business. Tough business out there. I digress. In this game, I'm expecting the Knicks to score a lot of points. It's going to be a high-scoring game. At least it should be. Because the Knicks defense has just been really, really inconsistent. And we saw, when did they play the Raptors? Was it Sunday night or was it Monday? I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I think it was Monday night. When they played the Raptors, a game in which the Knicks, a month ago, they lose that game. They lose that game. How many games did the Knicks lose earlier on in the season? One of them being the Rockets game, the Pacers game. I can go on and on. playing poorly down the stretch of the game. So, you can concern yourself with the idea that the Knicks and the Raptors played a close game, and the Raptors are obviously the inferior team to the Knicks. But the fact that and let me just say this. Let me just preface what I'm about to say with this. I'm considered to be a pretty negative person when it comes to the NBA, when it comes to, all my sports teams. But I see a positive in this. Like, yes, the Knicks play down to their competition sometimes, but as long as they won the game, you got the big shot from Towns. Blowouts aren't going to give you big moments. They're not going to give you preparation. They're not going to give you experience in winning close games. Of course, you'd like to blow out every team, but that's just not realistic in the NBA. Everyone is good. Any one guy in the NBA can have an unbelievable night, score 40. That's just how it works. That's how much talent is in the NBA right now. That's why I think the NBA should expand. That's another story for another day. But there's just too much talent in the league. Everyone is a three-level scorer. Everyone can shoot the three. Like 90% of the NBA could shoot the three. 50% well. That's a lot. It used to be a luxury. CBW says the total of this game is 238. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Should be exciting. Should be fun. Again, it's meaningful basketball. This game means something, guys. It means something. I know there are people out there who couldn't care less about the NBA Cup, but I do. And I'm not going to hide that. And the reason why I do is because there's actually something to play for. Whether you agree with the format and with whether or not they should hang the banner is another story. But it is something. The NBA has implemented this and it's worked in Europe with soccer, and it will work here with the NBA as the years go on. Whether or not you think they should hang banners is definitely that's the more important argument. I don't know. I got to see if the Knicks win this. I think the Knicks will win this. So if the Knicks win this, they play the Bucks, who just beat who did they beat last night? Who did the Bucks beat last night? They beat the Magic. Of course, the Magic without Franz Wagner, without Paolo Banchero. Congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks, who, as good as they have looked over the last, let's say, month, I'm not buying them. I'm not. I said it before the season. The Bucks are frauds. Giannis is having a historically great season. And yes, they put together a really good stretch of basketball. They are frauds. They are. Damian Lillard is washed. Chris Middleton as a number 3 option, be serious. Brook Lopez is washed. That's your center. That's your paint protector. They don't concern me. Bobby Portis is not who Bobby Portis was a few years ago. They do not concern me. So the Knicks, let's get past this game. Let's get past the Hawks. Let's shut up Trae Young once and for all. Let's make his record against the Knicks 6-15 instead of 7-13. And I'd like to continue to see Mikal Bridges play some good minutes and not have by far the worst plus minus on the team like he did the first 2 months of the season in almost every game, it felt like. If you missed it, listen, Mikal Bridges has been one of the best players in the NBA in the month of December. Has by far the best plus minus of any player in the NBA. So let's see if he can build on that. Precious Achiuwa, I think he's a massive upgrade over Jericho Sims. And I feel bad for Jericho. Because the way it works in Tom Thibodeau's rotation, you play 10 bad minutes, you're done. If a player had that position, you came in, filled in for that guy, and that player returned from injury, and you still suck, you're done. See ya. See ya, buddy. I love Precious Achiuwa. I really do. I think he adds a completely different element to this team. So much better cutting off the ball than Jericho Sims is. So much better. And he can actually shoot. He's not a great shooter, but he can shoot. There is the threat of, hey, he might pop the 3 and he might make it. Which you don't get with Jericho Sims. All right, there's about 5 minutes to go until game time. I'm excited. You should be excited as well. Hopefully, we are talking about Knicks Bucks in the semifinals of the NBA Cup. I was going to say from Vegas. Can you imagine if I got a credential? They flew me out to Vegas. That'd be amazing. One day. But hopefully we'll be talking Knicks, Bucks from Vegas. Again, not me from Vegas, but hopefully we're talking about that. And also, as the week goes on. This weekend, whatever happens regarding the Yankees and free agency, I will be talking about it. And listen, I can't deal with the Yankees going out and getting Bregman. I'm not a fan of it. And there were rumors originally yesterday about the Yankees and Arenado having mutual interest, and he's got no trade. Please do not trade for Nolan Arenado, Brian Cashman. Please, that is Josh Donaldson 2.0. I don't want it, and I don't think it's going to happen. If I did think it was going to happen, you get 25 minutes of me flipping out about Nolan Arenado and pinstripes at 34 years old. I don't want to see it, okay? That'll do it. Let's go Knicks. Hopefully we can get a win tonight and F Trae Young, even though no one cares. Talk to you all later this week.